This game is played between two world champions, Alexander Alkaline and Dr. Maxiu. Maxiu was FID president for quite some time. The opening is Slav Defense. Let us go into the game. Maxiu played d4. d4 is a book move, the classic way of starting a game. d5. d5 is also a book move, responding with the fundamental move, battles for the center. c4. c4 is also a book move. c6. This is called the Slav Defense. The pawn supports the center pawn. Knight f3. Knight f3 is also a book move. It's a very good place for the knight and it controls the center. Knight f6 develops the knight towards the center and supports the pawn and controls the key central squares. e3 supports the d4 pawn. Bishop f5. Bishop f5 is a very good move and occupies the important diagonal where it controls the center and the queenside squares. c into d5. c into d5 releases the center tension by capturing a pawn and opens up the diagonal for white's light squared bishop. Knight c3. Knight c3 is a e6. e6 paves way for the dark squared bishop. Now the bishop can be developed to a more active squares. Queen b3. Usually this is a peculiar move. Usually what grandmaster do is they don't develop the queen first because of the queen's safety. They develop other pieces and after that only they will develop queen. Queen c8. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. Bishop d2. Bishop d2 is a good move, but still better is knight h4 as indicated. Knight c6. Knight c6 is the book move, developing the knight and increasing the influence in the center. Rook c1. Rook c1 is a good move, indirectly attacks the queen and this helps the solidarity of the position. Bishop e7. Bishop e7 is a very good move, developing the bishop into the active long diagonal and paves way for the castling on the king side. Bishop b5. Bishop b5 pinning the knight with the king. Alexander castles on the king side. Dr. Maxiu also castles. Queen d8. Queen d8 is better, but still better is to kick the bishop by playing a6. Knight a4. Knight a4 is a good developing move, threatens to force an isolated pawn. Knight a5. This move steps the knight out of danger and keeps material balance. If the knight is left there, he will be start giving more problems. So Maxiu removes it from the board. Queen into a5. Knight c5. Knight c5 is a good move, but better one is bishop e2, the best square for the bishop according to Bobby Fischer. Bishop into c5. So the same thing, if the knight is left there, she will start giving a lot of trouble. So Alexander chops it off. D into c5. Knight e4. Knight e4 again is a very good move. Queen a4. Queen a4 is actually you took a lot of time and he found the best move on the board. Queen into a4. Bishop into a4. So now the cloud is clear and it looked like no one can attack the other. Rook f8. Rook f8 is a very good move. Now the rook finds a useful, very active square. c6. Actually he is threatening to win your rook by the fork, but b into c6, bishop into c6, rook a b8, rook move to safety. Alexander moves the rook calmly from the attack. Knight d4. Knight d4 is a excellent move. The idea is to chop off the bishop and breaks black's strong pawn chain. But Alexander played a rook into b2, knight into f5. White continues his plan, e into f5. Now the pawn on d5 is very weak, so bishop into d5. This is a dubious move because it gives way for the rooks to be exchanged. Knight c3. Knight c3 is a very good move, attacking the bishop and the pawn. Also this threatens to win a rook by a discovered check. King h1. So king moved away from the knight's check on e2. e6. e6 is the best move. This creates a peculiar pawn chain, linked pawns in the form of strong structure. Bishop b3. Bishop b3 protects the pawn, and the rook is somewhat locked up. Rook c5. Rook c5 is the strongest option. f3. f3 is a solid choice. a5. It is a free passed pawn, so Alexander started moving it. e4. e4 threatens to weaken the black's pawns. After d into f5, black will have a very weak doubled isolated pawns. But without worrying about all this, black started moving his passed pawn. Bishop d5. Rook b, b5, threatening to chop off the bishop with the knight. h3. King g7. King g7 is the correct move for the endgame. Rook c2. Rook c2 is a dubious move. This allows the opponent to capture the bishop and win material after the follow-up trades. Knight into e5 now. To c5. Rook into c5. e into d5. Theoretically, black and white are having the same number of pawns and the material is 100% equal. Rook into d5. Now the material is not equal, but still theoretically it is equal because of these doubled pawns. Doubled pawns are always weak in the endgame. Rook f2. Rook f2 is a good move, protecting the only outside pawn. King f6. Alexander is playing correct endgame. Rook e2. Better is rook c2 as shown. Rook e5. Better is f5 instead of exchanging the rooks. But still black is winning because of the king's position. Now he makes the correct move. Rook c2. Rook e3. Rook e3 is a very good move because black is intending to move a3. King h2. Now only this king started moving from the back rank. Rook a3. Rook a3 is not the correct move. King g5 is more correct. King g3. King g3 is a correct move. Also playable is h4. h6. Alexander missed the check. f4 as shown in the figure. h4. h4 is the waste move. Correct is rook e2 check, so that the king will move away from the crowd. h5 blocks the rook e2 check. Now Maxiu plays the correct move. Rook d6. e5 is better because moving the king towards the isolated pawn is always better. King f4. King f4 is the correct move, f6. f6 is right on target, so that the white's king cannot move forward. Rook c2. Rook b2 is correct, after which he can easily play rook b6 check and pick up one of the pawns. King d5. g3. g3 is a very good move, supports the pawn and black cannot move his g pawn. g5. g5 is a dubious move, therefore Dr. Maxiu played h into g5. h into g5 is a great move. f into g5 check, king into g5, rook into f3, rook g2 protecting the pawn, king d4. King d4 is a very good move, still better is king c4, king into h5, into f4, king g5, rook e4, king f5, rook e5 check, king f4, 8, king f3, king d3, rook b2, f5, rook f8 check, king g3. Steps away from the checking rook, keeping the king away from the action area. King c3, rook b7. Rook b7 is a very good move. Rook f1. Rook f1 is a solid choice. Rook b8. Rook b8 still keeps the black king away. Rook a1. Now the pawn becomes defenseless. King f3. King f3 is a blunder. This leaves a pawn without a defender, and also this makes the pawn on a4 a passed pawn. Rook into e2. King e3. King b2. King b2 is a paving way for the passed pawn. Rook b8 check. King c1. Rook c8 check, king b1, rook b8 check, rook b2. Now there is no more checks. Rook a8, rook b3 check, rook b3 check is strong choice. King d4, a3, king c4, king b2, rook h8, hoping to move the king away from b2 and attack and swallow the rook. Rook c3 check, and after that white resigns. Why? Rook h2 check is answered by rook c2. White cannot play rook into rook. After king into rook, the pawn queens easily. So black resigns. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Please subscribe so that you can see many more beautiful games of these world champions. Thanks for watching once again.